What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and Carhartt Inc., Carhartt PR, HR, whoever, has just responded, and it's not very good. In fact, even Starbucks took the opportunity today to announce that they will not be enforcing any kind of mandatory pokes for their employees. What kind of world are we living? We truly are in the clown world. Starbucks, Carhartt, the working man's clothes. Starbucks, overpriced, mediocre coffee for woke millennials. What's I don't. What is this? What is this? Now, if we look, Carhartt's been suspiciously quiet on social media since the breaking of this news, but we should have known. We should have known, because here on their Twitter feed, December 28th, Tanya Diaz traveled the world and shattered stereotypes on her path to launching her own butcher shop in a male-dominated industry. That's why she's a prime example of what it takes to wear our crap. What? Who cares if a woman is a butcher? Exactly what are the barriers to entry for a woman to operate a butcher shop? There are certain things that a butcher does that requires decent upper body strength, but I don't think that's outside of the realm of any woman being able to do. Knife is sharp. It does most of the work for you. Let's look at some of the replies. Have you ever considered that there are still male-dominated industries because, and stick with me here, most women aren't drawn to them? You have been accused of cringe behavior. The court finds you not based and sentences you to be made fun of. The minute Carhartt died was when people in Brooklyn started wearing it. I don't know. There's probably some hard-working Americans in Brooklyn. Get woke, go broke. I mean, I assume she's triple poked and boosted, right? The great pandering. Everybody in here just, I mean, again, there are no barriers to being a... What would I care? I care about, is your cut of beef good? Are you gonna take advantage of me on my price of brisket? What man's gonna be like, oh, a woman cut this meat. Oh, I guess I'm gonna go to the man's butcher shop 2 miles up the road who has worse meat and worse prices because I want a man to do it. That person doesn't exist. Of course, they're getting absolutely shredded still in their replies. Y'all made the list to not buy so many people. Now, there are a lot of people, just like with any time this happens. What was it? The bean company, Goya Beans. I think Starbucks had it happen to them. You get a bunch of people that are like, oh, I agree with this political decision. Because, by the way, now that the government has removed the mandate and Carhartt has said, we're still going to do it, this is an ideological decision. Theirs to make as a private company, certainly, but this is an ideological decision. And I wonder if they're going to make the same requirements of their factories in Mexico. Carhartt doubles down on poke policy amid leaked memo and Twitter debate. Some on social media are calling for a boycott of the company's products after the poke requirement on workers was made public. Out there workwear company. By the way, most of these weirdos who are like, there's like, excuse me, there's like the people that get it because they have to or because they're immunocompromised or just want to. I'm talking about the weirdo, like, people with get poked in their Twitter bios and, the poke Karens. These people don't work outside. They don't work hard. They aren't working on construction crews. They aren't putting out traffic cones. They aren't digging holes. They aren't shoveling dirt. They're not doing these jobs. They're normally millennial do-nothings. Actually, Gen Z, really, now. I'm getting older. Now, Amy Helebayuk, company's senior public relations manager, confirmed that the email from CEO Mark, I don't care, Valade, was legitimate and accurately represented the company's position for pokes on employees. The memo states that while Carhartt is extending the deadline for workers at 2 of its locations, the U.S. Supreme Court's recent ruling on Biden administration's mandate for large employers did not change Carhartt's policy. Now, of course, you have, proud to support good corporate citizens like Carhartt. That's liberal as heck, right? Corporations! Yeah! Govern me harder, daddy. Like I said, get it or don't. That's not the conversation. It's cringe and weird to see modern day people who call themselves liberal worshiping at the altar of big pharma and corporations. Shout out to Carhartt for prioritizing worker health. Others were not. Elijah, wow, Carhartt is, that's Elijah Schaefer. Wow, Carhartt is subjecting their employees to bad things, very bad look, definitely should stop buying their products. Hey, I'm in here. I wrote, I spent thousands a year on Carhartt hoodies, jackets, and winter gear. Today that ends. I guess I'm looking for alternatives. Seriously, this is insane given their target market. I'm done purchasing any of their stuff and giving them thousands of free advertising. Yeah, you notice I haven't been wearing their products on my videos anymore. I'm actively looking for new alternatives. There's a Duluth trading store by me, but they're also kind of like this kind of huge woke corporation. I'm kind of hoping to find something like at Fleet Farm or like, a smaller company that makes good stuff too. I mean, she notes that while the email to employees was not originally intended for the external audience, the team anticipated the possibility. While a company may not intend for its internal communications to be shared publicly, communications professionals are always aware that the possibility exists. She says, which is why at Carhartt, our communications team works hand in hand to ensure that our messaging is consistent. What they're really saying was, we had hoped you wouldn't find out about this. Hard-working Americans, not just Americans, I assume people all around the world. Hard-working customers, we had hoped you hadn't found out about this, but now that you have, we're going to pretend like we're totally fine with it. They also shared a statement with PR Daily via email, further reinforcing its stance. Carhartt made the decision to implement its own poke mandate as part of our long-standing commitment to workplace safety. Our recent communication to employees was to reinforce that the Supreme Court ruling does not affect that mandate. Carhartt fully understands and respects the varying opinions on this topic, and we are aware that some of our associates do not support this policy. However, we stand behind our decision because we believe that they are necessary to protect our workforce. Despite the social media hubbub, it's important to remember that less than 25% of Americans actually even use Twitter. And research shows that even stinging op-eds about a company don't really affect the company's perception in a negative way. And that's true. Are people going to run out and, are they even publicly traded? Probably not. Yeah, doesn't look like it. And again, they're fine. They're, as a private company, they have every right to do this. Their employees have every right to seek other employment. What's frustrating is this wasn't a requirement of their employment at the time. Imagine starting working there like 3 months ago, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, actually, part of working here means you have to get this poke. I wonder if they also require the flu shot. I don't know. I'm just not being facetious. I do wonder. This in the face of Starbucks. Employees at Starbucks are no longer required to be poked. Roughly a week after the Supreme Court reversed President Biden's workplace mandate, the coffee chain is following suit. We respect the court's ruling and will comply, Starbucks Chief Operating Officer John Culver. What a great way to word that. What a great way to word that. Hey, we're just following the law, guys. I can't imagine it's very easy to find baristas It's another. Now, I think Starbucks pays their baristas okay, and if I remember, they even give their part-time employees health insurance. So it is on a higher end of like a food service job, but food service is getting crushed. There's my local Walmart and Burger King are offering $17 an hour to work there. Nobody wants to work. They have better options in their mind, or they have options to, work from home, and people like to do that. $17, man alive. When I was a kid, $17 an hour to flip burgers. Are you crazy? That's 35 grand a year. That's nuts. I guess it's, when I was 17 or 18, I probably would have thought I didn't need to go to college if I could make that much money. But Starbucks, and by the way, Starbucks, not to simp for them because I don't, they also have an excellent policy around hiring U.S. veterans. Did you know that? Far better than the people remember when that Black Rifle Coffee tried to own them on that, and then oopsie doopsie, they're like one of the largest employers of veterans in this country. Anyway, it's nuts. They wrote, I want to emphasize that we continue to believe strongly in the spirit and intent of the mandate. Thank you to more than 90% of our partners who have already disclosed their status, and the vast majority of who are now fully poked. I imagine people that work at Starbucks probably are the type of people that want to run out and get it anyway. So they probably didn't have a huge problem with it. And to be totally honest, if I were working hand in hand with people all day long, I'd probably strongly consider it too. I talk about people who are like high at risk or immunocompromised. I'd say, working hand in hand, having interactions with hundreds of people a day probably is a good reason to consider it. But yikes, we truly are living in a clown time. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.